Okay, so I've got Stephen. I'm always excited when Stephen's around. He says smart stuff. Okay. Um, I'm a Muslim. I like to be helpful, and that's kind of the aim of my streams. I am really racist in that my main focus is white people. I know I'm not very white myself, but I was brought up in England, and I feel I know the people and I empathize. Anyway, that's my intro. Stephen, what's your quick intro before we get started?
I am I am a Zoomer who is not religious. I'm what you call a cringe atheist. I guess I'm a materialist. In fact, this week in particular, I've had a lot of people coming to me and saying, "You need like a spiritual experience. You're too much of a materialist. You need some kind of awakening." So, I I guess I'm that guy, but I'm waiting for evidence.
Cool. Okay. And what we've been doing is going through YouTube shorts of different kinds and since to react to. And since it's New Year's, I wanted a more thoughtful kind of legacy type, where are we going kind of video. So we've got Muhammad Ali. Muhammad is a Muslim, okay, very famous boxer. If people don't know, and I thought this is very interesting. Let's play it and see what everybody else thinks.
What would you like people to think about you when you've gone?
I'd like for them to say he took a few cups of love. He took 1 tablespoon of patience, 1 teaspoon of generosity, 1 pint of kindness. He took 1 quart of laughter, 1 pinch of concern, and then he mixed willingness with happiness. He added lots of faith, and he stirred it up well. Then he spread it over a span of a lifetime, and he served it to each and every deserving person he met.
Muhammad Ali, thank you very much.
So, besides it being somewhat emotional for some people, one thing I want to point out is if he didn't want to be remembered primarily as a boxer, and I think that's really interesting. You might say otherwise, but that was his immediate reaction. He didn't have time to prepare a speech. So I think when you're put on the spot like that, you say what's true to you. And then the second quick point I want to make I want to hear you, Stephen, is that what I want to get across in some of these videos is people generally don't understand what psychologists have been saying for a very long time. So basically, people don't understand how they work. If they're a robot, they don't know what really motivates them. And in short, what motivates people is meaning in their life, something meaningful, being kind and all that kind of stuff. It might sound all mushy stuff or religious stuff, but it's the things that make people do great things. And without it, we don't have much motivation. So anyway, so that's very important. Those are 2 little things I want to point out at the beginning. Anything, Stephen? What are your thoughts on this?
Well, look, Muhammad Ali is a fascinating character.
What would you
in
like
himself.
people to think about you?
Sorry.
He's a fascinating character. You're right in that he isn't kind of equally known for like all these quirky things that he said in interviews in a weird way, as much as the boxing, which is interesting. His interviews were. His interviews
Sorry, I
were.
want to close that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
His interviews, they did show that he had a very thoughtful nature about life itself and about living life itself. And he was obviously concerned about how people perceived him, which I think is natural. We are social creatures. We're, in my worldview, we are monkeys. We are social creatures. We care about what other monkeys think of us. Our place in the monkey pack is very important to us. This is why we are mainly driven by status, and then I think probably money, status, and power. followed by
Are you sure? Are you saying he was being fake when he was saying all that stuff?
no, I'm not. No, I'm not. I'm saying that these are natural drivers of human beings. He didn't
Sure.
have to be. He didn't have to be fake. He was a great boxer. He was at the pinnacle of his sport. He was there being interviewed because of his achievements that he'd had already. So this puts you in the position of you don't have to prove yourself anymore. People are already interested in you for what you have already done. This is a very special place to be. I think this is where we'd all love to be, in that position, where people want to know you for what you've already done. This is very, very rare. Puts you in like the top 0.1% of the world, really. The rest of society, are just like not average people.
So
Very few
putting
people.
Muhammad Ali to one side, but what is he? What about what he said just then? What do you think about legacy? should you live for legacy? Do you think what I said in the beginning, meaning is the key driver, and if we understood that, we would actually do greater things or be more, well, not even greater things, we'd just be capable of doing things, because people are so. See, people don't have much will nowadays, I feel, to do stuff.
I think caring about your legacy is important, actually. I think those who it's more about reputation, actually, isn't it? Legacy is something for somebody who has achieved greatness. You really have to achieve greatness to leave a legacy behind.
Really?
The rest
Okay,
of us,
that's
the rest of
interesting.
us are creating reputation
For a
amongst.
Muslim, just to give you perspective, a legacy is planting a tree that bears fruit and people eat from it, or even birds
Sure.
eat from it. That's a legacy, and that's a valuable legacy for a Muslim.
I get it. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And in a way, that is like the minimum, that I would like to achieve. I would like to, procreate and pass on. I have a materialist view. Pass on my genes into the next generation. Absolutely. But what I was going to say is that, like, a real legacy where you can achieve life after death. In my worldview, who's not religious, I've yet to be convinced that there's something after death. You can achieve it in two ways, effectively. One of them is to pass on your biological genes into the next generation, so that physical parts of you still stay alive, walking around in biology when you're dead and dust in the ground.
Sure.
And the other way is to do something that means your memory lives on in the minds of other people, and therefore you remain alive in the memories and the thoughts of others.
Cool. And you could either make something or be somebody, like be a good person. So maybe I should answer my question first. I feel like being a hypocrite by asking you before I ask myself. So the first question on the title was, what would you like to be remembered for? And actually, I don't give a crap what other people think. So I'm not actually interested. It sounds really weird. Like I asked the question and I don't really care, because I only care what God thinks of me. That's and I think it's a bit dangerous I think it's a good question in some ways as a starting point, that you should try to achieve something good. But it's too limited. So my honest answer is I would like my kids to remember me for being a good person, but not because I care about their opinion, but I just want them to be also good. I want me to be a model for them, so they have a good life, right? But otherwise, I don't care what people think. So that's my short answer, and we could delve into if that's a good answer or not, or whatever. What would be your short answer? What do you want to be remembered for? The answer to the title.
Well, the short answer is that I want to be remembered for something. Okay. And in a weird way, like, just being good isn't good enough. For me, ideally, I'm a young guy. I would like to leave a mark on the world. Ideally, this might be like, naive optimism, but I would like to do it. This is why, like in my early part of my life, I pursued sports and pursued it like to the highest level for a period of time, and I thought I was gonna I don't know, be, I don't know, some world champion sportsman. So I picked a, skill set and wanted to excel at it and put like my all in it, 150%, every single day for like 5
Yeah.
years.
Yeah.
What's next? I'm not sure, but I
Sure.
would like to. I would like it to be something. Now I understand for you, Khaled, absolutely. As a father, I'm not yet.
Yeah.
As a father, you do want to be a role model for your children, and your children should come first. And so, being a good person would be good. Would be one of the
But
most.
let me put a bit more in,
Yes.
explain a bit more. I am trying to do epically huge things right now. So I'm writing, and I've currently just made an AI
Good.
app
There we go.
that has no buttons, and it's going to move how we work with computers forward. So, that's the intention, right? And then I've already made some other app, but I have to work on it that can teach anything, right? Which is pretty crazy, huh? But they're not the kernel of everything. It's like the reason why I can do those big things. This is what I'm not trying to have a lame, random conversation. I want to make this conversation useful. And what I'm trying to get at is, if you have, like Nietzsche says, if you have a why, you can get to any how. So my why is to make the world a bit better, to help people, to be kind in some way, and that makes it possible for me to do huge things. So to do the huge things, there are other things as well, like consistencies. Every day I'll spend 5-10 minutes out of my very busy day to working towards these apps. Not like, oh, I feel like it. It's just like, that's the process, right? But behind everything is the why. And if I was trying to get across one thing, the reason why I picked the topic is people underestimate the why. And the why, people like, oh my God, I'm mentioning him every single time, but maybe my brain's got tired of repeating his name, right? But he basically, psychologists that come back to my head. And he said, it's the meaning that gets. Anyway, I can't remember exactly, but you need meaning to get through. I've already said Nietzsche, right? So if you have a why, you can get through anyhow. But there's also, have you heard of Simon Sinek? He talks about start with why.
I don't think so.
Okay, so maybe I'll put his name. Just people. It's very. Once you've searched him, and Simon Sinek, I'll just put it in the chat so people, if anybody's interested. Okay, so if you search your name, start with Y or something. He's gone through like historical, like greats, let's say, people the Wright brothers, for example, similar people who didn't really necessarily have the means but achieved great things because they had a dream of improving things, and it wasn't just about the money. And I'm not anti-money. I want people to be successful. I want people to make loads of money. I want you to make loads of money, right? Okay. I'm saying that is not actually what really propels people. And maybe one of the reasons why you didn't continue with whatever you started off with, the Thai fight. I was going to say Thai fighting, whatever it is, the martial art thing you were doing,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
It wasn't meaningful enough. And coming back to what Muhammad Ali was saying, he didn't. It was. I think there must have been a greater drive, a reason behind what he was doing to make him achieve things. You were making it out as if he achieved great things. Now he can waffle on and say nice things. I think that's what you were saying. But I think it's the other way around. You have to start with why, and that is what propels you. What do you think? Do you disagree?
I think you can strive for success for its own sake. So maybe I do disagree a little. I mean, it's not necessarily a bad thing that men are driven to want status.
It's not about good or bad. I just want you to be successful. I'm just saying what works. But maybe I have to convince you of that.
Yeah, I think it's hard for this idea of just wanting to be good or wanting to do good. It's like It's very abstract, and
Okay.
I mean, nobody wants. Here's the kicker. Nobody wants to be an evil person. Nobody wants to be bad. So, like, even like, I don't know, Adolf Hitler in the middle of the war in World War II probably believed he was literally doing good. So,
He did.
yeah, he probably did,
Yeah.
didn't he? Probably did in his
Yeah, he
own
was doing
mind.
it for the German people. He was
So
freeing
there
people,
we
the
go.
Jews, blah blah blah, in his opinion.
There we go. So, and Stalin, when he was sending millions to the death camp, starving millions of people, believed somehow he was doing the right thing. So, I think that you've got to be like true psychopath just to go around hurting people. So most people believe that they're doing good. The difference is in men, what drives us, and usually what drives us is the will to compete and to prove that we are better than other men, I think. And I think this is a natural
Interesting.
urge. I think it's natural. I think society wants to quell that within men because it sees it as problematic, and this is what's talked about with toxic masculinity. But it's actually one of the most important things to nurture in a young man is that you've heard the song "The Eye of the Tiger." It's the eye
Yeah.
of the tiger, the will. What's the words now? The will to survive. Let's get the lyrics up, and then I can just read it to
If
you.
you want, go on then.
It's the eye of the tiger. It's the thrill of the fight, rising up to the challenge of our rival. And the last known survivor stalks his prey in the night, and he's watching us all with the eye of the tiger. So
I could agree with some of that, but go on, Karen.
yeah, rising up straight to the top, had the guts, got the glory, went the distance. Now I'm not gonna stop. Just a man and his will to survive. So, look, I think the world is a shit place in many ways. We struggle. There's a lot of
Sure.
beauty there. There's a lot of beauty to get and see the wonder of the world. But struggle, great men usually come out of struggle. Actually,
Yeah.
because it teaches you that you have to fight for every little thing. And so, anyway, I'm waffling on. What do you think?
I'm actually bringing up the lyrics, and I like to analyze things. Eye of the Tiger.
Well,
And
that
maybe
second
dissect.
verse. So many times.
Okay.
It happens too
Should we
fast.
start? Should we look at this? Or which one do you like? You like
Well, look at the second verse.
which bit do you like?
So
Second
many
verse.
times it happens too fast. You trade your passion for glory. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. You must fight just to keep them alive.
Okay, cool. Let's analyze this, right? I have big dreams, but this is the thing that I think a lot of people are realizing. I've seen some good quotes about this, and I'm going to butcher the quotes as always, but I'm just going to kind of try to get across the idea, and that is, it's not willpower that makes you successful; it's your systems. Okay, that probably sounds really boring. Okay, but just be consistent every day, whatever you work towards it 5-10 minutes every day. You amazingly crazy. I've done so many apps just working like that. But on the side, I'm obviously getting my bread and butter and paying my bills and stuff, right? So I don't feel that I have to fight to keep them alive. Or no, that's not fair either. So part of it is there's going to be a lot of people telling you your ideas are stupid, or most people can't even understand your ideas. If it's a really good, let's say a high-tech idea, most people won't be able to understand it. So you have to develop a sort of, I think, carelessness of other people's opinions, yet always keep listening to people in case there's a nugget of truth. You don't want to be completely oblivious of reality, which I've seen a lot of people as well. So that's how I see things. Don't lose your grip on the dreams of the past. I like that. Don't lose your grip on the dreams
What I
of the
think
past. Go
that's
on.
speaking about is that you can have, like, when you're younger and you get these ambitions and the dream, it all seems so much easier. You know, you like start out on something, and like it's very quick to learn a little, and you feel like a rush of you've got this. I've got this. This is
Okay.
great. And then the more that you get into something, you realize actually it's hard. It's a long struggle to get to actual
That's
greatness.
interesting, because that's kind of the opposite of me.
Okay.
Because it's really hard. Okay, but this is, I think, something really important. Um, I'm doing a number of projects, and some projects I think it's important that I do projects that have no potential of making money. For example, one project is like a kid's storybook about life of Prophet Muhammad, right? And I don't intend to even make money out of it. I'm just going to give it for free once I made it. And the reason I'm pointing that out is it creates a self-worth. And once you have a self-worth, there's so much you can do. Like, think about why you might give up on an idea, a lot on a dream. It's not because you're starving or you can't do it. It's because this is normal, maybe not you, but it's normal that the biggest concern is there's a specific person in your mind, probably your mum or your dad or your brother or some friend who's like, oh, you're a bit of a loser, aren't you? You're not going to make it. And you have to have enough self-worth to be overcome that. And you have to know why you're doing it. If your why is bigger than their disappointment that you haven't made it already, then you can overcome it. That's how I feel about it. I don't know. That's my. I don't know. Does that make any sense? That you have to have enough self-worth to overcome other people's doubts.
Oh, absolutely.
And you have to build that self-worth.
Internal doubts as well. Personal doubts as well. You doubt yourself. What I was meaning, like I was talking about mastering something. I'm just offering my screen here. If you just switch on to that.
Oh yes, let's switch to that. Yeah.
This is what I was kind of talking about. When you try to master
Yeah.
something, initially you
Yes.
have this rush of confidence, and then but really you don't really know much. Then you realize
you know
kind of
what?
how.
Sometimes
can
I
realise
disagree,
how
but now I'm
little-
agreeing. Yeah.
Yeah, the more time you spend doing something, you kind of then realize, wow, when I was super confident about it, I knew nothing. And then when you become an expert, it's like you have a lot less confidence, or you can see like all sides of things. And then there's this dip in the middle, which is like the dip of despair,
Yeah.
is where you spent time doing something and you realize how little you really truly know. And this is kind of the trajectory towards mastering something, I think, and why people give up halfway.
Okay. Okay, so I said sometimes I disagree and then I agree. Because I'm thinking back to the beginnings of a lot of my projects, so I'm over optimistic. And then they take a lot longer, but I just keep going because I know it's right. It's an important thing to do. And maybe I think this is a very important kind of ingredient to a successful project, is that you're not going to invest so much that you die and collapse. Like, you just keep working on the other stuff. But I think the problem is you need patience. Because if you're going to go all in and then, like, if you don't have patience, you have to achieve everything like yesterday. And that's what I think I used to do a lot earlier before I was 40. So I'm 44 now. And I think there's some really great videos. This might not be exciting for you, or because 40 might seem like a million years ahead of it, in the distance to you. But something in these videos, they do say something that I agree with. Like, up to 40, everything's just practice. So one of the things you're practicing is sort of independence, in terms of thought. You're gaining skills. Yeah. And if you can do that well, if you can be not, I don't know, don't mess it up too badly. That pretty sound. I don't know if that helps, but you learn a lot until you're 40, and those skills, the skills are not just technical skills, but mental skills. And I found that, coming back to what you're saying, like you kind of give up and stuff. Maybe you give up because you want to be successful right now. Can we ask you a question? Actually, I heard a really interesting quote from somebody called Alain de Botton. I don't know if I'm even saying his name right. Do you know like School of Life? Yeah. And he said that a successful parent is somebody whose children don't want to be famous, because being famous is needing self-worth from strangers. So, and I think that plagues a lot of Zoomers and young people at the moment. What do you think about that?
So I've heard this quite a lot. I often think this is people trying to like quell the drive for status out of young men. Actually, I'm always suspicious of this. So people who say, "Oh, you forget glory, forget fame, forget the accolades, forget the trophies, forget the views on YouTube, forget all this, forget all the, the rewards." I think when you do that too much, this reminds me a little bit of like, I don't know, again, political correctness, or like this worry about toxic masculinity, about, like kids today, they in a football match, everybody gets a participation trophy instead of the winner. And this, because they're trying to drive out of young men this desire for the actual prize. No,
I'm not anti-success, but I'm still saying it because I'm saying people are getting it the wrong way around. But sorry, I keep interrupting.
No, it's okay. I'm responding to the exact, just to the specific thing of that guy saying, kids shouldn't want to be famous or whatever, because this is like a yearning for status. But really, the only reason you know him is because he's achieved status somehow.
Sure.
He's put his head above the parapet, and now you're aware of him as a person out there to take his advice. So he's saying to others, don't strive for what I've achieved, in a way. So I'm conflicted about that.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. I'm not saying, okay, that's interesting. Let's take his example, and let's say he doesn't have. All
my feelings are about boys, by the way. This is what I think for boys. For girls, I think very different. They should not yearn for like the fame, to make themselves stand out. I think that can be very dangerous, probably, for women.
Yeah, I totally agree. From the people I've seen, I totally agree with that, actually, because women are too self-aware, and they care about, you said I'm fat, like, well, you got to deal with that if you want to be famous.
The thing with women is they will get attention whether they like it or whether they look for it or not. They don't need to. They don't need to strive for it, really. But a man. Have you seen these cases, Khalid, where somebody, God forbid, it's one of the few cases, the rare case where a woman transitions into being a man. And then they go for
suicide.
Yeah, and they're shocked that they're universally their response is, I can't believe nobody notices me anymore. Nobody notices me, because men are invisible in society, basically, unless they have status.
Become invisible after like 40 or something, don't they?
Yeah, but nobody's transitioning at that age. These are young girls in their 20s, basically, or even younger, who have all the attention of the world on them because they're young, fertile girls. This is what society really, idolizes. Just look at any young girl's inbox, and it's got like 50 men in it already, and she's done nothing. And then they transition into pretending to be a man, and they like suddenly realize that society doesn't care about you. You
Yeah.
don't have all the eyes on you in society, and
It's
you're
just
invisible.
different curves. Like they say, women age like milk and men
Milk.
like fine wine. So men might not get the attention straight away, but if they invest, they get a better run at the attention and stuff. I don't know. Like an older man can get a much younger woman quite easily if they're very successful or something.
Yeah, what I mean is, if a woman goes anywhere, like to a shop or anywhere, and asks for help, people are willing to help her. You know, oh, you need this, you need that. Hi, can I do this for you? Can I help? If a man walks in, he's generally like treated with suspicion or just being invisible or being a problem. And so this is the difference, but why men need to acquire status, power, or wealth, basically, to succeed in the world. And people don't like to hear that, and they like to tell you, no, all you need to do is be a goody two shoes and that. But
Yeah, so
that's
let's
not
let's
actually the
let's
case.
get across. Okay, this is the problem. I think that I'm not saying just. I'm saying being okay. So I get the feeling you're saying that when men are told be a goody two shoes, that's a way of, like, as you say, quelling their.
Nerfing your masculinity. Yeah.
I don't see that. I think part of masculinity is to provide, right?
Yeah.
And being that person who's responsible and therefore powerful. But that's where your power, or good power, comes from. So you want to be practicing your whole life about how to help people and things like that. But also that helps in business. If you have the habit of helping people, you understand what people's needs are. And if you can meet a million people's needs, you're a millionaire, for example. So I don't think being good is a bad thing. It's a personal development thing. It's fundamental to your self-worth, which is the thing that's going to take you to success. I'm not anti-success, and I think telling people that being good is anti-success or it's a nefarious way to stop people from becoming successful. I don't agree with that.
No, and I want to be clear. I'm not against being a good person. I like to think I'm a good person. I will help people. I'm charitable. I am not a mean person. I wouldn't do anything to harm somebody. So I believe that I like to think that I have these aspects of charity about me. What I do, I'm concerned though, like I've already said, I've basically said it, I'm concerned about this nerfing of masculinity. And you must realize that society does wish to do this. They've realized that like men are the drivers, men are the problems, men are like this unhinged masculinity is can be wildly useful for society, but unchecked can also cause massive problems. Like men are all the doers in society, and this translates down into men are the ones who also commit the most crimes and do terrorist acts and all the bad things in society as well, and so society looks at how they can constrain this impulse that is
That's
both
I know
impulse
you
to
feel
greatness.
that. I think white people feel that, and I think I'm not trying to just be racist. I'm trying to categorize so we can solve the problem, because I never ever felt that people are trying to control my masculinity. Why do I do that? I've got in trouble maybe at work for pointing out that you can't be a man and a woman at the same time and stuff like that, right? But then I just thought, okay, people are confused, and you can't help all confused people. But that didn't stop me from being masculine the way I thought was masculine. I've already said what masculine
Sure.
means: being a provider, a husband, and all this kind of stuff, right? So I don't feel that, and I think the reason why white people feel that is because they left religion, and so and you know, I kind of say I want to say that, right? Probably.
Yeah.
So the left religion, so they don't have anything that they really stand firm on, and then they're easily shaken, and they go, "Oh no, somebody said this, and they said this." Like, who the crap said? I don't care what everybody said because I know what I believe, and I'm going to do what I believe. So I think let me put it this way to you: do you think the reason why you feel that your masculinity, you know, is under threat, your masculinity, and maybe other people you believe in, right? Their masculinity is under threat, is because they don't have religion, or is there some other reason?
Well, I mean, we do have a religion. I'm not here to nag on white people, but we do. You know, it's true. You know, you're getting at something real. The religion that we have is progressivism now, which has political correctness built into it, and so we in white societies do live under this oppressive force where toxic masculinity is identified as a source
So your
of
religion
badness.
includes that you have, there's a sort of, I don't know, you have to be trans, or you have to accept being all this kind of stuff that is anti what your idea. So your religion is against you because you said you're progressive, therefore
Well, the
that's your
progressiveness,
religion.
the unacknowledged religion of society, which is progressive values, is 100% antithetical to toxic masculinity, which is framed as toxic masculinity. It would love to
Or
nerf it.
traditional masculinity. Let's go with that. It's a better word, right? What do you think? Because
Well,
you're
I mean,
not aiming
people.
towards toxic. You're not aiming to be toxic, are you?
No, I'm not. I'm not.
Yeah.
But the fascinating thing about masculinity is within it, like within this drive to succeed and drive to, it's basically the ability of a man is to manipulate his environment in a way which women can't do that. You know, women go around there, you know, God forbid, just say it as it is, they're weak, they're unable to really manipulate their physical environment. Men aren't like this, and men, you know, put their shoulder to the wheel and can manipulate the physical world to
Sure.
their will, basically,
Yeah, great.
and then through the use of tools and you know, their mental impacts, have learnt over time how to literally tame nature itself and create incredible
Sure, that's
inventions.
fantastic. I think God has given both the sexes something to do. So women got something to do, take care of kids when they're small, keep them alive, and you know that's beautiful in itself. And giving men something to do because they've got certain abilities, they're stronger, and they've got testosterone, which makes them actually better at maths and stuff like that. Wonderful,
But
wonderful.
the downside of that
Yeah.
is that is that when is that we're also all the bad things in the world. You know, I acknowledge this. We are the terrorists. We are the, you know, criminals. We are, you know, percentage wise, we do all the bad things in the
Yeah,
world. I'm not a
that's right.
terrorist. I'm
We're
not
the
a criminal.
extremists. We're all the geniuses as well. Yeah,
Yes, with the good comes the bad.
yeah.
And society wishes to nerf this because society is a nanny society, certainly in white countries. And with that, the danger is that you extinguish that spark of greatness too, out of
Okay.
concern, you know,
Yeah.
concern for harm. Society has this like overbearance of harm avoidance. Have you heard of that term? Harm avoidance.
No, that sounds boring. It sounds like what
Yeah,
boring people
health and
say, isn't it?
safety.
Oh my God.
Harm.
Okay.
Yeah.
I hate health and safety. In Jordan, we don't have too much health and safety. People just have accidents and then they learn from them. Kids learn quickly. But okay. Let me try to get some involvement or respond to a bit of the chat. There is I like this point. So I didn't respond to what is your legacy because we already talked about that. I said my legacy is my kids, but also many other things that I like to do. I'm writing books and stuff that I hope to leave behind that would really benefit people, right? And you said you're not sure yet, yeah?
Yeah.
You're trying to find another goal. But let's come back to this. There is so much for Western men to do, reject their current political orthodoxy. So I think that's a great point, because you were saying, oh, my religion or my culture's religion is progressive ideas, and my progressive ideas are anti-masculinity, as I understand it. And I agree, here's anti-masculinity, right? So you just need to reject the crap. Straightforward. You need to find a clear religion that you really believe in and reject. Don't start going, oh no, I don't want you to whine. I want you to be successful. So do you agree that you need to reject the political orthodoxy? Or maybe you're doing that already. What do you think?
Well, I do think that I'm doing that already. Just like speaking about it openly. The only real useful thing about the alt-right, Khaled, that popped up in 2016 with the rise of Trump, 4chan culture, all this kind of stuff. It was just a throwing off. What all it was. It had lots of bad things about it, and it descended into like crazy Wignats and neo-Nazis and all this kind of stupid stuff where people became, practice being losers on the internet. But in its initial phase, what it was a throwing off of political correctness. And really, it was young men, adolescents and young men saying, like, having the scales burnt from their eyes and saying, to hell with this progressive nonsense. We're living under this oppressive feminized society that rejects us and all the great things that we've done, as men. Because it really came out of, it was like something that came out...
I do feel sorry for white people. They're like so scared of saying stuff, and but they probably need to get rid of that political correctness, which has only come like in the last last generation, because I remember talking to an old friend, and it's like everybody was a bit racist and a bit whatever. We didn't really mind too much. It was, it's all right. It's not so bad.
It's natural. It's natural, isn't it? Isn't it, Khaled? It's natural to care for your children first, then your extended family.
No, I'm just talking about the political correctness. You don't need to be too soft and too careful. That's just really boring.
Wait, I was talking about this thing, what people call racism. This thing, what people call racism.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Preferring your own. Because it's natural, isn't it? You care about your children more than your neighbour's children, right?
Sure, but also...
All right, and then you care about your community's children over, like, children in Israel. Probably, right? First. You naturally put those first.
My community is not just brown, by the way. That's important.
No, I know, but I'm just like, we're doing like a hierarchy.
It's not race, then, is it?
It starts with your children.
Yeah,
then your extended family, then your community.
Yeah.
Then you'd see like your wider community as maybe like your nation.
Some of it's going to be race because they're biological. I'm brown. I'm married a Arab, and I married an African. I don't know which race I'm gonna. I might marry a white person. Then what race am I taking care of? It's just happened to be my immediate biological connections, and then I don't think it's race. It's just.
But it shows that the roots of it, the roots of what is decried as racism, derided as racism, is basically just about the roots of it are in caring for your nearest and dearest first over others, and so like your children, your extended family, your community, your nation, and then I guess the whole human race, but in that order, and not the other way around.
What is your point? That it's not wrong to be racist or something?
It's not wrong to have preference. To have preference in a hierarchical order, of care. For you care about your children first, your community, then your nation, then your whatever.
Yeah,
your country.
Those are not. They're not racial groups. It's only racial maybe by particular. They're not really after my children. Maybe even my children might not be one particular racial group anyway. But yeah, it's I don't buy the racist thing. Let's answer what is toxic masculinity? I think it's good to talk about because that's so important. And I think it does feed into who you want to be remembered for and all that kind of stuff. Like, as a masculine person, you want to achieve something big and for the community, make a difference, and all that kind of stuff. But you've got to know what it means to be masculine in the first place, I think, and have a clear sense of identity. So I think it's an important question. I would say what my quick answer would be. Okay, so I think a lot of what is called toxic masculinity by progressives is the kind of people that people point to are like, oh my God, who's the most popular person last year? Black guy who wants to be prime minister?
Andrew Tate.
Andrew Tate, that's him, right? Okay. He said a lot of good things. Work hard, stop being a crybaby, provide, have loads of kids and all that kind of stuff, right? That's what's considered toxic masculinity. And there's nothing toxic really about that. They'll point out, oh, he's saying, but, have a Bugatti. But that's just sort of a side effect of working hard, which is what you really want. So I would say, in short, toxic masculinity is actually traditional masculinity, and it's a war on tradition. And sometimes they might point out at the side effects, like, oh, why is he saying get a sports car or get abs and stuff like that? But actually, that's just a side effect of what he's really trying to preach, which is consistency, working hard, stop being a crybaby. So that's
how I would define and describe what toxic masculinity is the stuff that women in progressive societies have labeled as socially destructive, and they go by these labels such as misogyny, homophobia, violence, discrimination. Oh,
sure, because
these things are considered to be product. Yeah.
Let's point out some of these things. So, what would they consider misogynistic? Like hateful women.
Anything that contributes to gender inequality in society is misogynistic.
Cool. Okay. And I think inequalities are fantastic. I'm sure you agree. Like the inequality in like the gender wage gap is fantastic because just men are better at it and women much prefer to be at home. So it just makes it obvious for human beings to know what we should be doing. Men should be going to work. Women should be at home. It just works. It's called specialization in economics, right? So do we agree that toxic masculinity is traditional masculinity, but just labeled as toxic by women who want to be like men?
I don't think they want to be like men.
Okay, maybe that was too much of a question. Do you agree that toxic masculinity in reality is not toxic, it's traditional masculinity?
Sure.
Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
Cool.
Yes.
Cool.
Basically, it's nerfing all the aggression or the dominance or the the lack of emotion of men.
How are you going to overcome this nerfing feeling? Because I don't have that feeling. How are you going to overcome it, Stephen?
Well, I don't think I've succumbed to it. Like I say, in a weird way, like the initial alt-right, what was like having the only good thing about it really was that in the people who became a part of it they felt like they'd been given a license to throw off this programming that is affecting men in society. And I think that young men are, because we do go around, we are told from an early age from school, that we need to go around and be, so fucking careful about all the ways that we engage with society, to not be misogynistic, to not be homophobic, to not label
because
somebody.
If your parents are not telling you otherwise, you'll care what your teachers think. But we're told, like when my kids come back from home, if they learn something stupid, I'll be like, oh, that's just your white teachers or something, or progressive teachers. And I'll tell you otherwise. And they go, oh, okay, fine, now we're fine. And we're just feeling sorry for our poor teachers who don't know any better.
Well, in that aspect, I accept, Khalid, that in that aspect, Islam is working for you, okay?
Okay. Let's go through. What can we answer? I mean, you've nailed it apparently on something. That's cool. I'm glad to hear
Oh,
it. I'm
good.
sure you have
Well,
nailed something.
always useful.
A Okay, a man who wants to order his own food at a restaurant these days is considered a Nazi. What? Stop being white, Jay. What I mean by that is stop. Who cares? I never had that feeling. I ordered food and I'm considered a Nazi. I never had that feeling. I couldn't even say that sentence. Um, what's your response to that?
Yeah, I mean, um, like Jay gets it too. Jay gets it too. Like,
You
you have
agree
to
with
you have
Jay
to
then?
walk on eggshells around women today. That's what it is, Callie. You have to walk
So
on
you ordered a
eggshells around
pizza
these women.
and you said it the wrong way. Oh, what does it mean?
Well,
Order. No, sorry. Wants to order his own food. That means order food. Like I don't know, on an app or phone in or
oh,
something.
I think he means when you go and sit down at a table in a restaurant. I guess I don't know.
Okay,
I don't go to restaurants.
okay.
But he's
And
basically he's
like you
basically
feel like
expressing a man who wishes to exercise his own will in a situation above the will of anybody else is considered a freak today. What's wrong with him? What is
okay.
he doing? Why is he upsetting the social order? This
But
guy's
that's
that.
part of the. Okay, fine. A man needs to not care about what a woman is thinking every 5 seconds, especially a mentally ill woman. That's partly what a man is, to have that sense of this is the way I'm going. If there's a mentally ill woman who thinks just because not all women are going to think that, but a mentally ill woman's going to go, "Oh, I don't know, you're dictating your order to me." Like, yeah,
Oh, red flags.
therefore.
What's going on here? What's your problem?
Hmm.
This kind of stuff. Yeah.
Okay, you keep nailing it, mate. It's good.
Let's go.
Men have to challenge
Look,
matriarchy. Yeah,
Claire's right
that's a
about
good
this.
way.
I say
Yeah.
this. Claire's right about this. If there's anything that we agree on, it's this. She's right. The overbearance of it. I call it the gynocracy, actually, rather than matriarchy.
Okay, fine.
You know,
Why? What difference does it make if you call it?
because
Just makes it funnier.
it's female centered and a society that's catering towards women, but technically men are still in charge. And if we just exerted ourselves and said this has all gone
Or maybe
crazy,
they're worshipping a vagina. Is that what you mean by John?
well, there's definitely
Rather,
that aspect of men who do
yeah,
that.
yeah.
Absolutely, because they all think that they're going to get, sex at the end of the day, and they're not. But then the rest of society is putting women in positions of power where they then dictate policy, and then they dictate policy based upon, attempting to get out of society these toxic masculinities that we've talked about, the misogyny, homophobia, racism, discrimination, all these things that are stifling society.
I'm trying to come back to some sort of resolution and back to the question: how would you like to be remembered? Live for legacy? Question mark. Should you live for your legacy? And I think and this whole masculinity discussion is not far from the topic at all. It is part of the topic because I do
Yes.
agree that when I'm talking and when you're talking, we're talking to men mostly because it's mostly men who are on YouTube when they want to learn, right? So that's fine. And I'm talking to white men as well, right? So, and masculinity is what men are, especially white men, are suffering from, the lack of at least. So this is right on topic. And if they had a legacy, and you've already said it, it would be to have kids. You want to have kids, and hopefully kids that you want to be proud of as well. I think that's an important thing. Maybe it's not so obvious before you have kids. So let's try to get some sort of conclusion. That'd be nice. I don't know if we could have a takeaway. how would you like to be remembered? I'll still come back to good person. And I think being a good person is fundamental to being really successful. It's the it's the long-term way of being successful. And if you just want successful, or not success, fame, because what is success? That's another question, right? Which Claire was asking earlier on. But fame for the sake of fame, I know that's just a recipe for failure, long-term failure, because there are going to be some people who succeed and then kill themselves. I'm just thinking about One Direction, people like that. They don't look too healthy. One's already dead. I don't want to put it in a too rude way, but it wasn't too surprising. So, yeah, I don't know. I think some of these answers can be simple.
Do you ever worry, Khalid, about the
Yeah.
quote, "It's better to burn out than to fade away"?
That's a dichotomy that I don't believe in the first place. I think Islam is all about patience and keep going every day. So there's no burning out in the first place, and there's no fading out, because you're going to be hugely successful if you have the patience and work consistently every day. And Muslims are, like Prophet Muhammad, considered the most successful person of all time. So he just kept on going every day, worked as hard as he could. So that recipe works, and there's no fading away. Muslims are not fading away. They don't even have to try particularly hard. They just have to keep to their traditional values, keep having babies. There's no heroic thing needed to be done. Just keep working hard every day on your family, and you will take over the world. And Muslims are doing that.
Well, that's more of like a hive mind mentality than a personal one. I was thinking, I was like talking about the person, like on a personal level. Because this is, when you're talking about legacy, we're talking about do you want to be remembered for something, and you brought up like One Direction, so rock stars or whatever, and that they have a higher incidence of early death. I think what we're getting at here is that they think that it's better to just have like fleeting glory than nothing at all. And really, a middle way may be better, absolutely. But
Okay, so I love it. You actually said that's Islam. I don't know if you know, but Islam is one of the core teachings is the middle way. So that's one answer to long-term success. And the other thing, as I said earlier on, as Alain de Botton said, like if you want that kind of success, One Direction success, there's probably a mental illness behind it. It's not real success, because they don't look happy. You know, like you said, you would when we talk about red flags for women, and you said tattoos.
yes.
I mean, I'm sure all of them have tattoos. I mean, one of them's gone transgender, and I don't know what's happened to them. I don't know where's the success in that. And if you're not even happy,
But these are people who, it's the drive to make a mark on the world, and
mental illness to be short-term success. I don't know. Yeah.
yeah.
Do you think they're successful? Would you want to swap positions with the one? I don't know.
Well, they were successful for like a few years.
Yeah.
They got fame, they got glory, they got money, they got women. So
do
obviously,
you? Okay.
all this at once
fair
at such a young age is going to make you crazy, though, isn't it? Probably.
Okay,
You've got
did
to
you
be very
hear
strong.
the interview with the guy? Is it Liam, the one who killed himself? Or apparently just fell
Yes.
off the balcony, right? Did you hear it? He felt like a prisoner when he was in One Direction. I'm not sure what greatness there was there. Do you know? Did you hear his Diary of CEO interview? And he said
No, I
he
did-
felt like he was a prisoner.
No, I didn't, but I'm not surprised.
So there's no
Re-
success. Where's the success? He can't even, these people can't even walk in the streets, enjoy a nice stroll in the streets. And they have sex with lots of women, maybe, but lots of crap sex with women who know they never see later on. So I think maybe the takeaway possibly is to focus inwards and say, what really makes me happy? And you might not believe that leading a meaningful life is the sure way to success, long-term success. But I would love people to look inwards as a takeaway to the show. Look inwards, try to figure out what really matters to you. Psychology has been talking about this all the time. It's the why, and it's not a way to stop people from becoming successful. It's a way to become successful. And you can try out experiments. You can say, oh, I'm going to go for this all burnout approach. You know, I'm going to just go for it. Has to have no meaning. I just want to be famous, right? You could try that. I think you've tried it already. Why isn't it time to try the alternative? I'm just going to go for meaning for 6 months, all out on meaning. It's not going to be the end of my life, and see if it works. Just experiment. I think, but this is my last thing. Islam is very practical and evidence driven. Everything Islam teaches, you can try out and you'll see it work. And God is full of, in the Quran, lots of quotes like that. You take 1 step towards me, I'll take 10 steps towards you. You make one effort, you will see the results. So that's what I'm saying. Try out these different ideas, see which one works for you. What do you think about that challenge to you?
Well, I definitely believe that having a faith and believing that you are like doing God's work or whatever can be a driving force for you. So I understand that 100%. All I'm saying is that there is this alternate truth in the world that as a man you have to go out and get it and take it yourself, and never lose sight of the fact that that is how you gain things. And as a man, you have to go out and take it, and you have to be measured about this and not do illegal things or do things that hurt people or anything like that. But society's attempting to crush that instinct out of you at all times.
I've tried a bit of just take it, sort of relative, like different ends of the spectrum, but not too extreme, I guess. And I've tried.
It's the law of the jungle out there, Khalid.
I live in the same world as you. Same world as you. I do agree that there are loser scenario. Okay, I think working for other people, it makes you feel like a loser. So I've tried working for other people, and then they treat like crap, and then you have to be their pet. And I was never a very good pet, and I was like, maybe I'm the wrong person, so I keep losing the jobs, right? So maybe I can see. I don't know. But anyway, that's my thing. Try out. Okay, let's do this. Don't even believe in God, but just try this. I don't think you haven't tried this. So that'll be a bit rude, but like focus on doing good with no return, but just keep investing in being a better and better person for 6 months and see the result. And if it works crappily, then I don't know. You said I've tried. I don't know. Have you tried it?
Yeah, I think so. Anyway, like I said, I do think I'm a good person. I do think I'm beyond. I'm not super young anymore, so I'm not that guy that's out there just doing everything for myself all the time. Every single day. Going for the glory.
Okay. I just respond to Ramiz. I don't know if you have kids, Ramiz, but I think you don't want just kids. You don't want kids on drugs. You don't want kids who are just vandalizing stuff. You want kids to be proud of. And I think it's good to have that like more detailed on our focus. But those are my shared thoughts on that. In some way, I agree with you, Jay. I don't need to be remembered by another person, really. Okay, whatever. Yeah, sure. You can call it that, whatever. I think I care about humanity, and that's what I've got to offer is Islam. So, whatever, man. I don't feel bad about people saying that at all. Yeah. Okay, cool. Hopefully. I mean, I just want to say, sorry, I've gone over time, so sorry about that. But we don't have to have a clear conclusion that anybody agrees. I think it affects people over time, and you never know. I might be affected by some quality things said here as well. Thanks a lot, Stephen. Appreciate your time.
No problem. See you next time, Khalid.
Bye.